To deviate for a moment,
yes.
that there is some breaking news that is just coming in. The governor's making an announcement. We just want to listen into that for a few minutes, but we'll be coming back to the discussion.
Especially after the nominations, he got nominated and he was our nominee, Jubilee nominee for governor, and I was Jubilee nominee for member of parliament for Nyeri. And we'd sit and we'd talk. And sometimes I would tell him, my friend, I don't know whether you're actually going to be able to hack it, because you can't be telling people things like that. One of the moments we had was a media person called him about something, and he really gave a lecture. And after he finished, he hung up. I told him, you can't talk to media people like that. These people are going to destroy you. He told me, no, I must tell them the truth. So that was my experience of who Governor Gakuru was. And any time you met Governor Gakuru, you knew this is a guy who knew what he was about. I would meet people even from other counties and they would tell me, hey, Nyeri, mnaonekana mtaenda mbali. Why? Because it was clear. We had an intellectual giant who was leading our county. And I remember the day I was told that he had passed away. First, of course, due to social media, the first thing we saw was that car with tumors going through it. And I remember I was actually in a meeting at around 6:45, and the person who was next to me showed me the picture. And I thought it was Photoshop. I couldn't believe that something like that could happen. And then I called the deputy governor, and I think the first thing he told me, yes. Immediately he picked the phone, he told me, yes, it is what you are hearing is what has happened, but we don't know what the position is, and he was traveling to Thika. And that morning was chaotic. Tried to go to Thika, then I was told he passed away. Tried to get back to Lee, then got to Lee. And something very interesting happened, and I was thinking about it last night. So people were viewing, and we were left in a room, the three of us, myself, the speaker, and the deputy governor at that time. And we had a few minutes with him, and we were looking at him, and I kept thinking in my head that the most important lesson for me that day was that man can plan, but God is the one who determines where you go with your plans. And I realized it was a thought that crossed through the minds of nearly every politician, especially, who went to Lee that day. Because, we are the guys who are always telling people about now tunajipanga juu ya 2022. We haven't even started working for 2017, but we are already starting to talk about 2022. We are always talking about the plans that we have. And that day, I realized the reality of God willing. That a small phrase some of us add at the end of saying something. And you say, I will come to your home, God willing. That is the day I realized what it means. Because when all is said and done, you can plan, but it is God willing. We had seen and we had heard the amazing plans that Governor Gakuru had for Nyeri Town. But God, in his own wisdom, decided that he had done his part. And the second lesson I learned from that experience was that, when you're building a house or when you're building a structure, even an institution like this, there are very many people who play a part in that construction. In my opinion, Dr. Gakuru was the architect of the plan of Nyeri Town, of the house that Nyeri Town needs to live in. He did his part. He drew the plan. And then he finished his work and God took him home. And the thing about God is that God doesn't have comebacks. Comebacks are those things when you do something and then a month later or 2 months later, you start thinking maybe that decision you made was wrong. God's decisions don't have comebacks. Because when he's done, rarely do you ever hear somebody saying, I wish this had not happened. 6 months, a year down the road, you look back and you're like, you know what? It was God's will. He's the one who decided how he wanted this to go. So Dr. Gakuru drew a plan for us. He drew a plan for the house, for the home that the people of Nyeri are going to live in. He did his part. Then we are going to have civil engineers. We are going to have electrical engineers. We are going to have master plumbers, contractors, painters, masons. We are going to have carpenters. We are going to have interior designers. We are going to have landscapers. It is up to us to decide where we fall into that plan. As we do that, as we go towards executing that plan that Dr. Gakuru had put together for Nyeri. He has gone and he has left us. I listened to the Tari who was here, the gentleman who was his student, and I've met many of them, including my colleague Moses Kuria, who keeps saying that they used to be in the same class.